KPIs versus OKRs. Hey, my name is Audunsson, and in this video I'm going to show you how to run your business scientifically with metrics. Now, this is something that I've picked up on and learned and evolved throughout more than 8 years of running my own online businesses. And I can tell you that when you learn how to use numbers and metrics to run your business, it changes the game. Things become a lot more clear and predictable and under control, and you're able to really make clear, logical decisions and really understand what is driving performance, what might be an issue in your business, like what's a constraint, and you just really understand where to focus in terms of taking your business to that next level. So I'm really excited to share this with you. And KPIs and OKRs, this is the best combination that I found. And when you use both types of metrics together, it really gives you all the metrics you need to run your business like a scientist, which again is a game changer for you if you're not doing this already. So I'm really excited to dive in and share this with you. Now, this hasn't only worked for me, it's worked for also many of my students by now that have implemented the same setup in terms of using metrics to run their business. So I can tell you for a fact that if you're coming from a situation of not using metrics to run your business, or using them in sort of like a random, unclear, sort of cloudy way, to adopting a full-blown holistic approach to using metrics for every part of your business that matters, then it does change the game and the impact is dramatic. So again, really excited to dive in and share this with you. So let's just get started. Now, first thing is the KPIs. So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of going to compare KPIs to OKRs. And in reality, it's not really KPIs versus OKRs. It's what I've learned really works is not, should I choose KPIs or should I choose OKRs? It's actually KPIs plus OKRs. That's the magic combination. When you have KPIs, which stands for key performance indicators, for a certain purpose in your business, and then you combine it with OKRs, which stands for objectives and key results, that's when things really click and you've got a way to track every part of your business scientifically and really manage and run your business through a set of metrics that gives you the insights and things that you need to make great decisions and work with a big team and all those types of things. So let me just explain sort of what the differences are, right? Because that's important. So KPIs, they are really metrics, and it's a set of metrics that you use to monitor things in your business, right? So you use key performance indicators to monitor what's going on in your business. That's really the main purpose. It's kind of like giving you, you could call it like a scoreboard or a scorecard to really just, monitor the main parts of your business. So it stands for key performance indicators. It's not every performance indicator of your business, but this name really says a lot. It's key performance indicators. So these are metrics that give you a really good indication of, how the business is performing. And when you combine it, these different metrics into one set, and you do it right, you've got really a way to understand 99% of the performance that matters in your business and see if it's going in the right direction or the wrong direction, things like that. With OKRs, it's more about building things, right? So with OKRs, we don't really use it to monitor so much like the day-to-day operations of the business and how that's performing, but it's more to build things like projects, add this new thing to your business and really grow the business and just build things within your business. So it's more like for project management that is really tied into goals and objectives in a very scientific way. And it's a very powerful method to actually have a team and cascade responsibilities down and things, and really have a team come together to accomplish common objectives and things like that. So I'll explain this better, but high level key performance indicators are for monitoring things. Objectives and key results are for building things within your business. So it's kind of like, running the business and growing the business, right? That's kind of the key difference here. Now, so KPIs, you're using those to measure ongoing performance in the business. So, day in and out, week in and out, month in and out, over time, it's telling you how the business is performing and how the performance might be fluctuating up and down and in different areas of the business. So this gives you like a finger on the pulse of your business, really. While the OKRs, again, they're about measuring progress towards objective, or I should say objectives, right? So they are a way to really understand how you're making progress towards the main objectives in the business right now. And you can use both if you're a solopreneur running the entire business on your own, or you can use both with a big team. And both KPIs and OKRs really give you an ability to work with the team a lot more effectively, because you've got objective numbers to talk about and reference. So either for, how is the business performing, operating day in and out, or how are we making progress towards our objectives. And usually those will be like aspirational things that you're building, new products, different things like that in your business. Now, in terms of the way it works with the time frame, right? So with KPIs, you really have the same set of KPIs for extended periods of time. You might change them up, based on certain things like stages of growth and things like that. Like a brand new business will have different KPIs than a more mature business, but more or less they stay the same over time and don't change so much. And you really will, create a set of KPIs that are specific to your business and your type of business. So they're measuring the right things based on, again, the type of business that you're running. And then also based on the type of business you're running, you're going to select a time frame, which is one of these. It could be a daily time frame, it could be a weekly time frame, or it could be a monthly time frame. And really the main thing that determines which time frame you want to select for your KPIs, and you just choose one, right? Daily, weekly, or monthly. The main thing that's going to determine what time frame you select is, again, the type of business that you're running. So let's say you're running a e-commerce business selling private label products on Amazon, as an example. For that, a daily time frame for tracking your KPIs is going to be too fast, most likely. It's going to be very chaotic, because like your sales volume and different things you're tracking with your KPIs are going to fluctuate naturally day by day and without cause for concern and things like that. So if you track it on a daily basis, you've got daily KPIs, it will be just too noisy. Like there will be a lot of chaos within your numbers, and it's going to be really hard to take or receive key insights, the right type of insights that you want from your KPIs to make good decisions, alert you of issues and things I'll mention here in just a bit. So that will be too fast for that kind of business. And on the flip side, a monthly time frame will be too slow for an e-commerce business selling private label products on Amazon. And the reason is that things can happen within the month that you want to be able to detect, and it's too slow to wait like an entire month to pick it up. So let's say you're having issues with your inventory performance, like staying in stock or something like that. You want to see that within a couple of days, right? So weekly would be good for that. Monthly, too slow, because then you might wait almost an entire month without picking up on those problems, and that's, again, it's not going to help you solve it quickly enough. So for a private label business, e-commerce selling private label products on Amazon, a weekly time frame is just right, because it gives you the right balance between speed and sort of like consistency and stability of the numbers. You're giving it enough time to give you clear indication of what is going on with the performance of the business week by week. So it enables you to make clear decisions, and it's also fast enough so you can pick up on things within a couple of days bits is fast enough, right? So you've got to strike the right balance depending on your business. Some businesses, daily will actually be fine and will make sense. For some, monthly will be better than daily or weekly, because weekly even is too fast. There's not enough data on a week-by-week basis for the key metrics to really, make sense of things. So I hope that makes sense. Now, with OKRs, this is totally different. So while the KPIs are like the same, day in and out, week in and out, month in and out, depending on the time frame you select, the OKRs are going to be new every quarter and every year. So what you do with OKRs is you want to have, and at least, this is what has worked for me. So now I'm sharing with you like how I use these metrics. This is not like an academic course from Oxford or something. This is how I actually use these metrics to get results and run my businesses effectively, online businesses, right? So for OKRs, they are new, right? So each quarter we set new OKRs. So every quarter, this is 4 times per year, and they're new each time. Some of them may be carried over, but they're gonna be set, afresh, like a new set of OKRs every single quarter. And the same goes every single year. So you're gonna have both at the same time, quarterly OKRs and yearly. So you will start each year by mapping out the yearly OKRs, and then you'll map out the OKRs for the next quarter, like January until end of March, right? And then you repeat that process. At the end of the first quarter, you would review how it all went, and then you would set another set of quarterly OKRs for Q2. And with 4 sets of OKRs, 4 quarterly sets, that should lead you to accomplish the entire yearly set of OKRs. So that's how that works. Now, the next point of difference is really the number of KPIs versus OKRs you use. So for KPIs, you will set like 6 to 12 for the business. And the main thing is to have a set of KPIs for the entire business. You could have KPIs for departments in the business as well, if you're at a certain size, but the main thing is really this overall set for the entire business. And you would set 6 to 12. That's a good number. So you don't want to have, you're probably not going to be able to have much less than 6 KPIs, because you need to have enough KPIs to really, give you a good insight into every area of the business that actually matters, right? So if you have like 3, that really most likely can't cover every part of your business that's important, right? It's not going to give you insight into, let's say if you take private label e-commerce business as an example, having like 3 KPIs is not going to give you insights into the key areas, like all the key areas that you need to be monitoring, like your R&D or product development, your supply chain, your marketing and sales, your finances, your overall revenues and things. So like that's going to be too little. But you could accomplish it with 6, 7, 8. That's usually a really good number, and you want to keep it as simple as possible, right? So you want the KPIs to be basically as few as you can. And obviously with a KPI, you can have a, one KPI that is basically derived from a couple of different KPIs. So the overall metric gives you an indication of several different things within that part of the business. And I'll have a separate video on KPIs and OKRs that you can watch after this one to have a really clear understanding of how to use each. This is more to give you a high level overview of each and what's the difference between both. So 6 to 12, you don't want to go over 12 KPIs ideally, because that's going to be a lot. You might go over it, but really then you probably, you should be able to collate some of them together, combine maybe 2 or 3 into one and things like that. Because if you have more than 12, it starts to get kind of confusing, and you've got too many numbers, right? It's not about just having the most amount of numbers, it's about having the best set possible, and the less KPIs you have to accomplish, what the KPIs are there to do, which is to give you insight into the key performance areas of the business. If you can do that with fewer KPIs, that's better, right? So with KPIs, it's 1 to 5 per year, right? Because you set them each year, and then also per quarter. So you've got like 1 to 5 for the year, and then 1 to 5 each quarter. And the same applies, like the fewer OKRs you can have, really, the better. Especially if you're a smaller business, you shouldn't have more than 3 at a time, really, at least for the quarterly ones, because you're probably not going to have the capacity to accomplish that many. And a big part of the reason you do OKRs is really just to get things really clear and focused and scientific in terms of how you're measuring the progress towards the goals that you set, right? So it's goal setting, OKRs, but in a way that's really clear and simple, and it's confining you to, like, with this limit of like 5 maximum, you're going to have to figure out how to, bring all your objectives into 5 sets or less. And that's going to really help you, because it's going to make you focused, and realistically you're not going to be able to do more than that at a time overall for the business, right? And it's not going to help you to try to do more than that. So usually my businesses sit around 3 OKRs per year and quarter, sometimes 2, sometimes 4, but something like that, 2 to 4. 1 is usually too little, depending on what the business is doing. But 2 to 4 is probably the range you're going to be at, 3 being kind of the ideal, in my view. So that's how that works. Now, KPIs are a leading indicator. So the good thing about KPIs is that what this means is that they will give you insights into future performance of the business. So by reading the KPIs, let's say it's each week, based on what you're seeing this week, it's probably going to give you a good indication of what's going to happen next week and the week after that. For good or worse, it could be good signs, it could be bad signs. So the other thing that KPIs do is that they are an alert of operational issues. So when you have issues in the business, if you selected your KPIs correctly, you're going to be able to notice any major type of issue in the business, more or less, through looking at the KPIs. And because it's a leading indicator, you can usually fix it before it gets really bad. That's one of the big benefits of the KPIs. Now with the OKRs, they're more like a trailing indicator. So they won't really tell you what's going to happen tomorrow and things like that. But they're showing you like how you're performing. So how you're making progress towards an objective. So you review it after you've done this, right? So it tells you like how you've been doing in terms of getting towards this objective that you've set. And another thing with OKR, so that's a good thing. It shows you what's going on. It doesn't show you what to expect in the future, but how you're doing right now. It's also important. And because it's a trailing indicator, it will also show you. So it will alert you of capacity issues, meaning that if you're not really making progress as quickly as you want to, or you have to achieve the OKRs that you've set, you've either set the OKRs too high, like you've been too ambitious, or it basically tells you the same thing. The capacity that you have right now in terms of how much you're able to do yourself or with a team, the current team you have, could potentially be not enough to accomplish this. So it might tell you that you need to increase this capacity or increase the efficiency, or set OKRs that are a bit lower. So it will really help you understand like the capacity of your business to make progress and accomplish projects and hit your objectives, your goals. So for good or worse, it will tell you like, do you need a bigger team or more efficiency, or are you being unrealistic with your goals, your objectives, right? Both are important to understand, because over time, what this process helps you to do, the OKRs, is really get aligned and in tune with the business, and you understand what you can actually do and what you can't do and where you might have to improve in things. And that's really important if you want to be very successful with your business. You want to be able to be realistic and at the same time, obviously like ambitious, right? So hopefully this makes sense. Now the final thing here in terms of the difference is that we use the KPIs to optimize areas of the business. So how we really use them, beyond kind of just monitoring things, is we use them to optimize areas. So you have different areas of the business, like I mentioned, with a private label business, e-commerce, you're going to have like product development, R&D, supply chain, marketing and sales, or advertising and finances and things like that. So let's say you notice that a certain area of your business isn't really performing well enough, like you're lagging behind, or this is you notice this isn't really moving in the right direction, this KPI, then you can put focus on that KPI and really use the KPI set that you have to like communicate to your team, for example, and just put focus on this KPI, which represents this specific area that you want to optimize and improve. And then all your decisions really and things that you're doing in the business for a period of time can be concentrated on this KPI, driving this KPI, improving this KPI, and thus optimizing that area. So it gives you a very clear, data-driven way of optimizing a specific area of your business. Now, for the OKRs, we use them to complete projects. So we're not really using them to optimize an area, like an ongoing area of the business, like operations. It's more to complete projects, right? So we're using the OKRs to align our team around common objectives, and then we use it to communicate what has to be done, what needs to happen to achieve this objective, and then we use it to track the progress being made towards achieving that objective, and communicate, this is too slow or whatever, or this specific thing that we need to do as well isn't really moving, or it's lagging behind, right? So I think that's it for this video. I just wanted to give you an overview here in this one. So hopefully this gives you a sense of like how OKRs and KPIs together are really useful, and that's really what has worked extremely well for me and my students with their businesses. And this is because these are really complementary, like two different types of metrics. But when you have both, you've got a way to monitor the operations, the ongoing performance. Plus, you've got a way to build things and grow, both in a very data-driven, scientific, objective way that makes you and the team accountable to what's going on. So, if you want to learn more about KPIs and OKRs, I have 2 different videos specifically covering each one and showing you how we use them. So definitely, if you're interested in this, you want to check that out. And I'm going to have a link here at the end of this video where you can click to what's the next video, which is the KPIs with examples. So I'll show you exactly how KPIs work, how we set them up, and I'll give you specific examples of KPIs that we use in our business. So that's it. If you like this video, obviously click like and subscribe to my channel if you like this video and you want more information like this, just fundamental business principles and strategies that actually work to make a business successful. And if you have any comments or you want to ask any questions on this, you're welcome to comment below this video. I would love to hear from you, and I'll be sure to respond back to you as well. If you have friends or business partners that you think would benefit from this as well, it would mean a lot to me if you share this video with your friends or business partners. So again, that's it. Be sure to check out the next video here. Link will be at the end here on the screen. If you want to learn more about KPIs and how to set them up, how to use them in your business, again, to monitor things and measure ongoing performance. So you can click that to see the video on key performance indicators with examples, and then after that you can go, or you can do that now, you can go and watch the OKRs video as well. So again, hope this was helpful, and talk to you soon. Bye for now.